For years, we've heard about kids being digital natives. They've grown up with tablets and smartphones, and it's all just normal. But now, there's a new player in the sandbox: powerful artificial intelligence. We're talking conversational bots, immersive virtual worlds, and it is completely changing the game for our youngest learners. So here we are at this massive crossroads. On one hand, you've got these tools that promise to unlock educational opportunities we could only dream of a few years ago. But on the other hand, they come with some really complex and serious risks that, honestly, we're just starting to wrap our heads around. So, which is it? Is this our helpful genie in a bottle, or have we just opened Pandora's box? Well, to figure that out, we've got to look at the evidence, starting with the incredible promise of that genie. So first, let's look at the bright side. Let's explore that really optimistic view where AI doesn't just add to learning, it completely transforms it, creating these amazing experiences that were literally impossible before. So check this out. A really fascinating experiment in Malaysia decided to tackle this question head on. Researchers wanted to know, could learning a new language in the metaverse actually be more effective than just sitting in a regular old classroom? All right, so here's how they set it up, and this is the crucial part. They took 60 young kids and split them in two. One group learned English inside this immersive, interactive virtual world. The other group, the control group, learned the exact same stuff, but in a totally standard classroom. And the results? Whoa, they were absolutely stunning. The group that learned in the metaverse saw their average score on communication tests basically quadruple. They jumped from just under 15 all the way up to almost 56. Meanwhile, the traditional group score, it barely budged. It's just this powerful proof of how engaging, immersive environments can seriously supercharge learning. And hey, this isn't just about fancy virtual worlds. Let's talk about AI, like ChatGPT. As one expert put it, kids are just natural question machines, right? And while a parent or a teacher might eventually run out of steam, an AI is this tireless, patient partner, totally ready to answer why for the 100th time. And for the adults in the room, the parents and the teachers, AI is becoming this incredible sidekick. Think of it as an on-call facilitator. In seconds, it can whip up creative lesson plans, create personalized stories based on what your kid loves, and even translate things into a family's home language. For anyone who's busy, this is a massive, massive time saver. And this potential isn't just for the super cutting-edge stuff. Even simple, really well-designed apps can take abstract ideas like telling time or understanding what comes first, next, and last, and make them feel totally intuitive and fun for a little kid. But, and this is a big but, this incredible promise of the genie, it comes with a serious warning label. All right, so now it's time to open up Pandora's box, because for all of its amazing potential, this technology brings some significant dangers with it that we absolutely have to face. Okay, so the absolute core of the problem is something researchers call the empathy gap. See, an AI can be trained to say all the right empathetic things, but it can't actually feel empathy. It's a master of recognizing patterns in language, not a master of genuine human connection. And that can be really dangerous. How dangerous? Let me give you a really stark and honestly shocking example. In one safety trial, popular mental health chatbots, bots designed to be supportive, completely failed when they got messages about child abuse. They just couldn't grasp the severity, proving that in those critical moments, this empathy gap can lead to catastrophic failure. But the challenges go way deeper than that, and experts use this handy framework called 3A to S to map them out. First up, accessibility and affordability. If these tools are expensive or need fast internet, are they just making the digital divide worse? Then there's accountability. If an AI gives a kid harmful advice, who's on the hook? The developer? The school? Next is sustainability. Can we even maintain these things ethically over the long haul? And finally, social justice. How do we make sure these systems aren't trained on biased data that just ends up reinforcing harmful stereotypes? So, okay. We've got this incredible tech with massive promise, but also massive risks. What do? Where does that leave us? Well, the solution, it turns out, isn't in the AI's code. It's in us. The answer really comes down to this key idea from child development called maternal scaffolding. It's all about the active support a parent or caregiver provides during an activity. And we're not just talking about showing a kid how to use an app. It's about asking questions that make them think, cognitive support, and offering encouragement to build their confidence. That's the affective support. And you know what? The research on this is crystal clear. It's not about the screen time itself. It's about the shared screen time. It's that co-use, that active guidance from a grown-up that leads to all the good stuff, like better digital literacy and stronger social skills. The human connection is the real magic ingredient here. And that's why experts are basically shouting this from the rooftops. As one digital citizenship expert, Professor M, put it so perfectly, we have to be the filter. Adults have to be the critical thinkers, the fact-checkers, and the ethical guides whenever a child is interacting with AI. But hey, this isn't just on parents. This responsibility absolutely extends into the classroom. For any of this to work, we need teachers who are trained in AI literacy. They need the skills to actually use the good parts of these tools while protecting their students from all the risks we've talked about. Okay, let's pull back for a second and look at the big picture here. If we are the filter, if we're the guide, then how should we be thinking about designing the future of this technology in our kids' lives?
Well, some experts are saying we've been thinking about this all wrong, right from the name itself. They argue that the ultimate goal here, it shouldn't be artificial intelligence.
It should be intelligence augmentation. See the difference? The whole purpose isn't to build a machine that replaces human thought, but to build tools that amplify and enhance our own intelligence, our creativity, and our connection with each other. And that really leaves us with the big question we all need to answer. How do we make sure these incredibly powerful tools are designed to empower us, not replace us? The responsibility for that, it falls on all of us, on developers, on policymakers, on educators, and on parents. The choice between that helpful genie and Pandora's box, it's not set in stone. It's a choice that we are all making together right now.